Hello, and welcome to Is This the Norm? Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Pandora, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. And thank you so much in advance.
Hi, I'm Lora.
And I'm Heather, and today I'll be presenting on the beginning of the end of reusing glass soda bottles, otherwise known as how Coke killed the refillable bottle. And so just kind of want to start off. I'm sure we've all been here. It's a hot day. And just imagine you're going to go grab your Coca-Cola in 1940s, 50s, or 60s. It's still in a glass bottle. It's got a little condensation on it. You're going to grab it, open it, and take a nice big swig of that cold, fizzy Coca-Cola, and then it explodes in your hand. The bottle shards go flying. Jagged pieces goes into your eye, and you lose your eye. Would be pretty terrible, right? Well, this did happen. This really did happen in some famous cases. One of them is Escola v. Coca-Cola Bottling Company. That was in 1944. That case resulted in blindness in the gentleman's right eye. Another case, Gordon v. Aztec Brewing Company, so that's a different company outside of Coca-Cola. A jagged piece of glass embedded into the cheek and permanently scarred this person for life. Another Coca-Cola case was this is the one where it stuck in the left eye and inflicted a severe injury by cutting across the cornea of the said eye and then resulted in blindness. And what did Coca-Cola do in response to this? Well, I mean, they went to court. There's lots of cases out there. And the main thing that came about with all these issues with the Coca-Cola bottle was that it was going through like a very fast conveyor belt, and they're checking these bottles to make sure that they're still intact, there's not any holes. But before we get into like the big spiel of that, so I'm sure some of us may be alive where this was still happening. I know I wasn't. I've been in other countries where this happens, but what Coca-Cola and other bottling companies were doing prior to plastics was that you would take these glass bottles and you would return them so that they could be reused. So isn't that great? I mean, right now we are a few days after Earth Day, but by the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably be May or June sometime. However, this is kind of what brought up things when Lora was talking about the Sweden's waste management system. And I thought, why did we stop using these glass bottles? And I think there's some misinformation out there that, why it happened was because of all these bottles were exploding and, it was just so dangerous. And now that we have plastics, that's safer.
Can I
And
interrupt?
Yeah, of course.
Can I guess? Can I make a guess of why they quit using glass? I'm sure I'm wrong, but
Yeah, go ahead.
before
Of
you tell
course.
us,
Yeah.
my suspicion is just that plastic was cheaper. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. How about you, Rebecca? What do you think?
Well, because they were exploding.
Right?
I mean,
Okay, both good guesses.
But I
I'm
thought
not
she
going
just said that, like, oh, wouldn't you think this is why they quit doing it? I feel like there's a little cliffhanger there. And she's like
right.
gonna tell us that Coca-Cola really didn't care about these people and was like, tough love, we're making money. I don't know. That's my guess on that.
You're probably
That's how the
right. But
court ended for them.
well, yeah, because these are all the Supreme Court cases or to the highest court in the state. So yeah, if they really gave, two shakes of a lamb's tail to keep it PG, they wouldn't be fighting this through the courts, right? They'd be like, you know what? We didn't have a good quality assurance, quality improvement program. Let's improve this. Sorry, this happened, but we're fixing it. Oh, no, no. No, no, no. That's not what corporations do. And I can tell you that with my experience as an attorney. I don't work for corporations. I don't work for their insurance companies. The insurance companies are the devil. They don't care about you, and nor do these corporations. It's all about what? What? Come on, Laura, Rebecca, you know what it's all about.
Money,
Money, money, money,
show me the money.
Yeah. We are a capitalistic country. Of course, it's all about the money. So I will say that, yes, Laura, you are right. But we'll get into that. So, yeah. So you think that, that's what I always thought. I was like, maybe this was the beginning of the end, these Coca-Cola, glass bottles exploding. Well, let's talk about where Coca-Cola started, how it was born, and how it advanced through the years and what that really looked like and why glass bottles are not being used. Because I think the first sign for me was even before I got through law school, but I was in it when we went and visited other countries, was other countries were still doing this. They're still collecting these glass bottles and they're reusing them, right? So it's possible. People aren't, maybe yes, their laws are different there as far as who you can sue for liability and negligence, but there's always a fix, right? We have such great technology. There's no way we can't use glass bottles that doesn't require a human to actually look at these bottles to make sure the integrity is still good. We have so much technology with companies and robots and machines. I know it's possible. Now
Oh, it
back in the
100% is possible.
right.
I mean, lately I've been watching with my kids how it's made, and it's like it's I highly recommend it. It's from Canada. All of the how it's made are Canadian products, and they just show you all the machinery, like how bacon's made, how Pop-Tarts are made. It's really interesting, but each and every one of them goes through a metal detector too, like all products.
Mhm.
And like robots have like laser technology. I mean, it's definitely possible. But what I initially interrupted for was I'm curious about what was happening with Pepsi. Like, why was Pepsi not around yet? Was Coca-Cola? I mean, there's other glass bottles besides Coca-Cola. So,
Right. I just kinda concentrated on Coca-Cola because they had the most cases. Because there was other
okay,
bottling
there were
companies.
other bottling companies that had cases of this.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
exactly. But they might have saw what Coca-Cola was doing and was like, "Ooh, ooh, we gotta fix this problem," right?
Yeah, learn from
I'm
them.
sure Pepsi got sued for it at some point. I just think Coca-Cola was the most sued, and it may be because their QI/QA was not up to par. So in the cases, if you read them, I have a forum that I can go on online that is super expensive, by the way, for attorneys. I think it's a monopoly and we're getting shafted. But anyways, where I can look up case law because I have to for when I do briefs and what have you. And so I can get the nitty-gritties of these cases that might not be on the internet and kind of like decipher the legalities that are discussed. So basically what was happening with these glass bottles, before these explosions were happening is they weren't like it was too quick that these bottles were going by and they weren't really able to look at the integrity of these bottles. So I'm sure there was like, well, as long as they're not leaking any soda, they're good to go. They weren't looking for, cracks to the more specifically that could have prevented these explosions from happening. But like you said, Laura, we know we got the technology that it's possible if we wanted to go back to using glass or should have stayed there as, a way to check the glass bottles for their integrity, we could have kept going this way. So, yeah, I'll just give you the quick history. So, Coca-Cola was kind of born in 1886 by a gentleman. He founded it. His name was John Pemberton. He was an American pharmacist, chemist, and a Confederate States Army officer who is best known as the inventor of Coca-Cola. He first called it Pemberton's Tonic, French wine Coca. So, this is kind of where the Coca comes from. So on May 8th, 1886, he developed an early version of a beverage that would later become Coca-Cola. He
And that version was
advertised,
way, way better than the current version, right?
oh yeah, I'd like to have that version when I'm tired. It was advertised as ideal nerve tonic and intellectual beverage, and then in quotations, highly endorsed by the elite of the medical profession. Pretty much advertised it to cure everything. Middle class beverage was typical to have go to these soda pop shops, and it was more meant for socializing. So why he came up with this is like there was some other products that were similar to this that he kind of used their advertising to kind of bump his up. So what happened is Mr. Pemberton suffered from a wound that he sustained during the Battle of Columbus. And it was part of his efforts were to control his chronic pain, which led to morphine addiction. So he just replaced one addiction with another he curbed this addiction. He began experimenting with various painkillers and toxins, and he developed an earlier beverage blending alcohol and cocaine, which led to the recipe that later was adapted to make Coca-Cola. So
Whoa, Nelly. Alcohol and cocaine. Can't even.
uppers, downers, all arounders.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine, like, just imagining us three, like, how high energy we are. Can you? I don't think it's a good idea to give us cocaine, but let alone cocaine and alcohol. Like, whoa, we're climbing on roofs at that point.
Right. Well, I think it's just funny that he did it so he could, get off the morphine addiction. Just one frying pan to
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah.
But I'm sure like most people have heard that coca or cocaine was in a lot of stuff back in the day as, help you, intellectually advance and be able to be more alert. Well, yeah, of course, if you're doing coke, you are going to be more alert.
Well,
Yeah.
I like when you first were talking about the Coca-Cola, where he was saying all these like, oh, you'll feel better, you won't have any ailments, and blah, blah. Well, yeah, of course because you don't care. You're high on cocaine. Life is good.
Yeah, it's like he called it a tonic and intellectual beverage.
Yes.
It was one of those cure-alls. It's like your classic where you see the signs with whatever kind of concoction somebody came up with back in the day. So what this was a knockoff of another drink made from a coca leaf called the Vin Mariani, and it was advertised as a French tonic wine. So he was just like used a more easy language because this one was like, oh, Vin Mariani, or whatever. I probably totally have the wrong accent, but eventually he sold the rights to somebody by the name of Aja Griggs Candler for roughly $2,300 shortly before his death in 1888. So he didn't live very long. I mean, in 1886, he came up with this, and then he was dead by 1888. I don't know. Maybe it was because of all the drugs he was doing. I don't know. Just a guess. And then in 1899, it was finally franchised as Coca-Cola, and then it was sold in glass bottles. These bottles were returnable because local bottlers wanted them returned to reuse over and over, saving money, right? And if you brought back the bottle as a consumer after using it, you got a 2-cent deposit for the 5-cent drink you bought. So,
Dang, that's a
yeah,
good return.
right,
Holy
right.
moly.
So 80% of bottling companies had this deposit system, is what they call it, where you buy the drink for 5 cents. If you deposit the drink bottle back, you get something, it's what we call recycling. They just called it a deposit system. The bottles could be used back and forth for up to 60 times, which is pretty amazing. In the 50s, Eisenhower signed the first Interstate Highway Act. So what that did was it connected all states across the US. So that's when we start having I-90, I-5, those kinds of things. So we're a nation on the move. So suburbia land ensues across the nation. And then guess what happens? They abandoned the deposit system because now they're, trucking these drinks all over the place at a quicker pace. It's going to take more time to have to haul the empty bottles back, right? So they start using cans instead because there's an uptick in those availability of aluminum cans, which what does it do? It creates waste. So the soda industry is invested in return of bottles. They're not invested in the return of bottles anymore because they're using cans. So they're not having to bring back those bottles, which results in more waste. So then we get this campaign that gets going across America. And this is, I think, in the 50s, 60s. It's the quote, in quotation marks, "Keep America Beautiful" to help with concerns about increase in waste. Campaign is started with statements like, "Are you a litter bug? A clean sweep? Don't be a litter bug." And so they used this to deflect accusations that the industry was providing the products, which was to blame for the waste. So they're putting the responsibility on? The consumer. It's you. Why are you being such a litter bug? Pick up after yourself, right? Well, in all reality, what could be happening is the industry needs to take responsibility and be like, how can we make waste less? You use something that can be reused or recycled. So then we go into the 70s when the crisis really goes high up in waste. Then do you guys remember the commercial with everybody's holding like a Coca-Cola glass and they're like, make the world a better place? You all remember that? Maybe not.
Vaguely.
Not probably from the 70s, but I think that kind of, leads into the 80s to some point. I remember seeing that commercial. I don't know if it was in relation to being taught how to recycle and not be a litter bug. But anyways, I just remember that commercial. So 1969, before the 70s, environmental footprint study is done by Coca-Cola and the EPA. It's the same study and it has the same results. So there's no difference between what the EPA finds and Coca-Cola. And so this is what their response to like the whole crisis regarding a lot of waste on, in the US and probably on the planet and in the oceans. So the finding was that nothing will surpass the reusable glass bottles as having a lower overall impact on resources and the environment than any other conventional container. However, one-trip containers have potential for reuse or recycle, indicating plastic bottles could be reused and recycled. Okay, so what is that? When I say that, which is a lot of blah, blah, blah. So nothing will surpass the reusable glass bottles as having a lower overall impact on resources and the environment. What does that mean to you guys?
That means we need to use glass bottles because they're the best thing for the environment.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And what do you think Coca-Cola, if they were a good corporation, would have done after getting that research done in 1969?
They
Fork
would have
that
used glass
plastic.
bottles.
Yeah, that's all.
Exactly. Forget it. Plastic.
Plastic, yeah. Laura's the little angel on the shoulder. Rebecca's the little devil that's like, no, plastic.
It's that Gen X. They don't care.
Let the earth burn. I'm not going to be here anyway.
Tell us to recycle. It's not the consumer.
That sounds really hard. Also, when you were talking about the Make America Beautiful, is that what it was called?
Oh, let me go back. Hold on. Keep America
Oh,
Beautiful.
Keep America Beautiful. That's Grandpa John would have grown up during that. That explains why we were in the back of an El Camino picking up trash on the side of the road so well.
The campaign worked for him.
Yeah, he grew up in that time.
Yeah, put it back on the consumer, right? That's our responsibility. Saves them money. All right, so you would think that's would be the good thing. No, what does the CEO of Coca-Cola do in 1970? He makes a statement by citing that research in 1969 that Coca-Cola was, in quotations, these are his words, convinced that the plastic bottle is one of the most environmentally responsible packaging options available. However,
Okay.
never shared the study with the public in 1969. Because why? It's more profitable not to have to deal with the deposit system with glass bottles. So he lied. Can you believe that? He friggin' lied about that.
No.
Yes.
no
Yes, I
way.
can believe that.
Yeah,
I
guess
don't know. I don't know. Corporate
That's
America
ridiculous.
never has lied to us historically. So
Right. No.
So trustworthy.
yes.
yeah.
Ask
So
the
in
attorney.
19
She would know.
Yeah, in 1970, this was they really understood the problem. Like Congress was like, okay, let's do something about this. So 1970, a bill before Congress that would have banned non-returnable containers. Okay? It was before them, a bill, which means it's not a law yet. As you can imagine, the industry, which is the bottling companies, with very deep pockets, was worried. Of course, the brewing industry really comes together to fight this bill because what do? You got lobbyists, you got money, and common folk who are not on board and really know what's going on. They don't have money to fight this. Congress can only go so far because half of them are corrupt. So instead, the industry, yet again, turns the attention away from them, the corporations, the bottling companies, and changes the narrative that, hey, government, the real problem is what we need to do is recycle and get the pollution in check. It ain't us. It's you. Deflect, 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 right? When in actuality, the brewing industry could not give two shakes of a lamb's tail about recycling and pollution. This is what we call a red herring in the law world, a distraction from the real problem. Deflect and blame somebody else.
But
Right?
making the glass bottles was so hard. It was so hard to do, and then having to make them again out of the old stuff. And I mean, it's not a big deal that they
I
were
think Rebecca
exploding in
sounds
people's
like
faces. But
you
it was
worked for
just-
Coca-Cola.
that's
Were you
hard.
reincarnated? Are you the reincarnated CEO?
Maybe so.
So
Maybe it
hard,
used to be
Heather.
hard back in the day. But nowadays, recycling glass is not difficult at all.
Yeah. Well, I know.
With machinery and robots, it's very doable.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched how it's made, where they make glass, and they're basically like, if there's any defects, then they just shard it up and recycle it straight away. Like, it's a simple process. You just break the glass up, melt it down, and reuse it.
Yeah, and plastic is not that way.
No, it creates a lot of pollution in doing so. And I don't know, I'm sure glass does to some effect as well. I just don't know how much.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm sure the study that they did in 1969 included that. Like, okay, if the glass is no longer good, what is the percentages of, Like the plastic, though, the problem with plastic is you can't take that back and reuse. I mean, we could maybe. I don't know. Why can't they refill the plastic bottles? I don't know. That's a good question. It's never been done. I mean, maybe it's possible with plastic. I mean, I feel like plastic has better integrity in the long run. I mean, you still have to wash it, maybe because of the high temperatures of washing that the plastic wouldn't survive it
Yeah.
in glass would.
Yeah, I
That's
think
all I can
and
think.
glass is probably significantly more antimicrobial. I don't know for sure, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it. It's less porous.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there's so many different reasons why. Now, you would think, after all this, since they're the ones that had the study, that administrative organizations like the EPA would be the ones at the front line campaigning, but it wasn't. It was organizations like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and others that were campaigning on like trying to push it on to the people and not themselves. You guys might remember this one. Did you always remember the crying Indian commercial at all?
No.
Where it shows this Native American canoeing around and there's like garbage all over in the water and all over the land, and it's really racist because it's like your typical image of what a Native American looks like way back. So I'm like, well, I'm not sure why they did it that way, but it is the 70s. And he's got the braids and you get to see he's sad and he's depressed, and then all of a sudden at the end it's like one tear after he sees all the garbage and pollution that's happening around him, right? And then there's like pictures of this Indian, and organizations are really pushing this recycling. Again, Coca-Cola and other bottling companies are doing a great job of pushing this back onto the consumer. Of course, this unfortunately didn't work. Coca-Cola then outsources the cost of the reclamation to the public, which I thought was interesting. They didn't even they spend all this money on this campaigning, but didn't have any input or money put forth for the actual recycling of the product. So go figure. So anyways, let's go to present time. So presently only 10 states have a deposit bill, meaning if you bring the bottles back, you get paid. And those states are California, Kentucky, Hawaii, Iowa, Maine, Missouri, New York, and Oregon, and Massachusetts.
Is this plastic
Vermont.
bottles, Heather? This plastic,
I think
right?
so. Yeah. Because these are like other countries, like Vermont and then Guam. 80 to 85% reclamation rates. So people do bring it back when you put a price on packaging. Makes me think about Sweden, right, Laura?
Yeah, and actually, quick little story. I was doing a grocery pickup at Walmart the other day, and this gentleman, I don't know, I talk to everyone, I'm very social. I don't know how this came up, but I was talking to him about pant stations, and he said that in Germany they also have those, and he's just like flabbergasted that we don't have them here in the United States, and also somewhat disappointed because he said when he was in Germany, he was a poor college student, and he would pick up bottles on the side of the road and collect them from people and turn them in to get money to buy groceries, and he really leaned into that to help him through college, and he's just so surprised that that's not around here.
Yeah, no,
I mean, even when we were kids, you could get money for aluminum cans. That's not even a thing anymore.
Right. And I'm not sure if that was just because that wasn't even through a bill, because I'm going to talk about that with Washington. Because I don't know if that's just something Washington stopped, because we don't get recycling. The deposit system isn't present right now in Washington that I know of.
It wasn't back then either, but you used to get paid for recycling aluminum cans. And that was, I mean, I guess I assumed it was the country, but maybe it was a Washington thing.
Is it still happening, I wonder?
Wasn't it like 10 cents a can or something? Or it would say on the can how much you would get?
That's only for the states that you can trade them in. But I'm talking about you could they would weigh it.
Yeah, so wasn't it based on weight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought. So how we've been talking about it, Washington does not have one. Sorry that I didn't do one for other states. That's where I live. So I'm not sure about what other bills are going on in other places, but there is a House Bill 1607 that was introduced this year in 2026 to create a recycling program, and that would be 10 cents. That would be the price that they would put, and I think it would be for plastic bottles. Maybe it would be aluminum too. And then, of course, I find this website that twists the agenda and says, oh, they're going to be this bill, because you always have those websites that are against the bill and for the bill. And so there's this website that said taxing drinks one bottle at a time, saying they'll charge you 10 extra cents if you go through with this. And the thing is it's a deposit system, right? So the bill would also require, beverage producers to pay more than 200 million per year in fees for a new bottle recycling program, which will be passed on to the consumers in the form of higher prices anyways. But again, who's behind this push, because the beverage producers don't want to put money into actually having this system in place. So the real issue is that the corporations know this will cost them money. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of history of corporations doing this in America. I mean, probably the world, but especially in America.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if this is part of it, but like, where are we going to turn these into? Like, are they going to have stations?
Yeah, that's
Who
what the
foots
bill
the
would
bill?
require. Yeah, that's the bill would
Oh, okay.
require that the
Sorry.
beverage producers pay for these systems.
For the recycling plants or the systems to get things to the recycling plants.
Yeah, it just said the bill would also require beverage producers to pay a certain amount per year, which would be 200 million, and fees for a new bottle recycling program. So maybe the program would be put in place by the government, but the producers would have to pay for that to run.
Okay, thanks.
I think that's what I gathered from it. I could be wrong.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the unfortunate facts is that this is a story where stuff begins in a once upon a time land of the 1800s when Coca-Cola was an environmentalist dream, served in stylish, refillable glass bottles that were washed and reused dozens of times. Today, however, according to the Story of Stuff website, Coke has become the world's biggest plastic producer and polluter, pumping out 250,000 plastic bottles every minute. Almost 1/4, 23%, of the world's PET or PET plastic bottles. Thanks, Coca-Cola.
So disappointing.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, we knew it was a problem way back, and in the 70s they were going to have a bill that was going to require, banning the non-returnable containers, which a lot of plastics are non-returnable. So,
Americans are really good at ignoring problems. We're really good at that.
And blaming other people, too.
Yeah, and just so you know, aluminum cans are still worth money, no matter where you are. They're just not worth very much.
Right.
I mean, it's like 50 cents a pound, and that's like 32 cans. So, and then you have to have like a lot of cans to even turn them in. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but they're worth money, but I think that the value has went down would be my assumption, because why else wouldn't people like be picking them up and stuff like we did when we were young?
Well, this I didn't research, and sorry, but I don't know how well aluminum is recyclable. Like, how good is it after you melt it down?
There's many recyclers of aluminum. It's a high commodity, but they're not willing to, it's not going to be like a lot of money until you have like a lot of cans.
So I meant like the process. Is the process pretty doable?
It's easy. It's not a difficult process at all. No, aluminum could be melted down and easily like separated from all the junk and recycled and used again easily.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, I think plastic is the true problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to...
Apparently, we've known this now for, going on 60 years.
Yep. So this is the information. This should not be the norm. No. The norm should be something that is best for our Earth. And, yeah.
I think Laura's discussion about the Sweden system was, that's just a shining star for the world. Just saying.
Yeah, no kidding. We really need to adopt a lot of what they do. And it sounds like, I was kind of just looking up, it sounds like a lot of other countries do these quote unquote pant stations. Even Canada has reuse programs where they reuse their glass bottles, where they sanitize them. And I was just reading here, just a quick Google search of Like you can put these glass bottles into these refund machines and they separate the glass and they crush it into cullet to create new containers, which is just like the glass shards. And also, Heather, I know you've been to Costa Rica, right? They recycle bottles there too. They sanitize them. And anytime you get like a beer down there, they always give you a lime. And the lime, as I always thought, it was like a Corona, you throw it in there to give your beer flavor. The lime is actually to wipe the rim of your mouthpiece on your glass bottle to quote unquote disinfect it before you drink it. I thought that was kind of funny.
I did know
I'm not
that.
sure I like that, but
I don't think it needs to be disinfected. I think it's just like a mind thing for people when they come. But
gotcha.
they put it around the rim and then they pop the lime in their beer anyways. But I mean, they clearly sanitize them prior.
Yeah, right. Otherwise, everybody would be getting sick. And
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just kind of that little like extra, cleanliness.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
I
it
know
feel
that's what they
fresh.
use it, like lime and lemon and like ceviche, from what I know, is so that if there's any viruses or bacteria in there from the raw fish, when you're using
Kinda
raw
kill it.
fish, it kills it. Yeah.
Oh man, the best ceviche I ever had was in Costa Rica with raw fish. And you put it on crackers and they give you a packet of ketchup and a packet of mayonnaise. And I was like, what is this for? They're like, you put it in, you mix it in, then you put it on your cracker. And I was like, well, I guess got to do it the right way. And oh man, chef's kiss, ketchup and mayonnaise in your ceviche was so good. It sounds disgusting.
But they have like a special mayonnaise that's way better than ours, I feel.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more
Russian
creamy.
mayonnaise. Russian mayonnaise too. My neighbor, she's Russian. She no longer lives next door. But my other neighbors who are Filipino had made some special dumplings. I don't even know if they're called dumplings. They're amazing. And then my neighbor who's Russian comes over and she's like, I got this special mayonnaise. So we're putting mayonnaise on dumplings and oh man, it was heaven. I've got a lot of culture in North Dakota, surprisingly.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. And then we have across the road a Mexican family. So we're very blessed here. We
Yeah,
got
it
a
sounds like
great street.
I know. I feel like you got better diversity than in Spokane, which I mean doesn't say much for Spokane. We already know Spokane has issues, but
Yeah, you guys got to come to the Fifth Avenue barbecue in July. It's a
There you
good
go.
time.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but yeah, that's all I had with Coca-Cola and the lies we're told and what we should be doing, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
unfortunate. Just in case some of our listeners maybe skip around and haven't heard the Swedish one on waste management. What does PANT stand for again, Laura?
Well, it's not an acronym. I forget. It's like I think it was like originally like a German word or something like that. It means something, and I can't remember. I looked it up, but now I've forgotten. It's not an acronym, but I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, are you looking up? Are you clicking or no?
Yeah, I'm clicking.
I don't think it stands
Denmark.
for anything.
I think no, it doesn't stand for anything. It's not an acronym.
Yeah.
Acronym. It's not an acronym, but it's
Yeah, it says Scandinavian term for a deposit refund system used to recycle beverage bottles and cans. So there you go.
yeah, like it's just like a name, you know?
Pronounced pont. Pont, it looks like. It's
Oh,
actually-
did I say it wrong?
Yes, and it means deposit or to deposit in
There we are.
Swedish.
It's pont. See, this is where I
Well,
need
I said
Madeline.
it wrong.
She'll be like, "Oh Lord," if she listens to any of this.
I was saying it with an American accent, okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go.
Exactly.
All right, well, that's all I had. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.
Good job, Heather.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.